Well, we will get started here. I see we have about 47 people on, and we'll keep letting people join. And again, really grateful that you're here with us tonight for the fourth installment of Ohio Sense of Place. Tonight we focus on the residential greens, east, south, and west. And I think all of those probably have some special meaning to each of you that are joining us tonight. So I'm grateful that we have some outstanding panelists that are going to help lead some of the conversation. I will introduce them quickly, but then we will let them talk a little bit about themselves. So Jackie Reau, Matt Barnes, Pete Trenacosti, Sydney Tenny Borcelino, and Ohio University's 21st president, Dr. Duane Nellis. So Jackie, Matt, Pete, Sydney, and Dr. Nellis, thank you. Really grateful for you for spending some time with us today. And again, as people continue to join us, please feel free to put a note there in the chat letting us know where you are and who you are as well. So to start off today, I'd like to invite each of our speakers to give a few words about themselves and talk a little bit about their grad year, their major, where they live now, and their profession. And I will hand it over to Matt Barnes. So Matt, you can kick things off for us.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Matt Barnes. I am a morning news anchor in Columbus, Ohio, where I've been born and raised, besides my 4 wonderful years in Athens. Graduated in 2008, the Bachelor of Science in Journalism, and been here in Columbus now for 10 years, and couldn't be happier to be on this broadcast among my Bobcat family.
Great, Matt, thanks so much, and thanks for joining us. So Matt's making us all look bad because he's used to this camera in front of him every day, so we'll have to navigate through it, but really grateful that you're here with us today. So I will now hand it off to Jackie Reau.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Jackie Reau, class of 92, Scripps School of Journalism. And then it took me 20 years to get my act together for my master's in sports management in 2012. So I'm a double Bobcat, very proud of that. Grew up in Toledo, now live in Cincinnati, and work at Game Day, and we're a media and marketing agency.
Great, thank you, Jackie. Jackie also serves on the Ohio University Foundation Board of Directors, so grateful for her service and her time today. Pete Trenacosti. Pete, tell us a little bit about your role here at the university, and then your background, and also what you're studying, because I understand you're a graduate student now as well.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Pete Trenacosti. I'm Executive Director of Housing and Residence Life. I came here in 2012, so this is rounding out my 8th year, and I've seen a lot of amazing changes and development during my time, and can speak to any of that if folks have any questions about any of the changes we're making or any of the changes for the future. My wife is a Bobcat, graduated a few years ago, and then once she got done, I signed up, and I am in my final course for my Ph.D., and I hopefully will be Dr. Trenacosti by the summer, so I'm a higher education student, as well as doing that, running the Housing and Residence Life program on campus, and my wife and I live in Athens, Ohio.
Excellent. Thanks, Pete, and thanks again for joining us. And Sydney, our sole student, who will tell you a little bit about her background and what she's studying here on campus. So Sydney, really glad that you're with us tonight as well.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Sydney Tenny Borcelino. I'm a junior currently in Athens, but from Winter Garden, Florida. I'm studying sociology along with psychology and African American studies, and I'm super excited to be here. Homecoming is my favorite time of year, and I'm glad that we're still able to do something virtually, but I so wish you all could be here in Athens with us.
Thank you, Sydney. Yeah, it's strange to think that homecoming's happening right now, and we're sitting at our desks. So hopefully everyone's been able to enjoy some of the virtual experiences that we put together for the week. We will put a link in the chat. There's things going on all week. We'd love to have you join us and participate as much as you can, and I'll get through this kind of strange time together in hopes that we're all back in Athens next fall together. So but Sydney, thanks for joining us. Sydney and my daughter Maggie actually were freshman dorm mates at both HCC students, so pretty cool connection there as well. So with that, thank you panelists for introducing yourselves, and we're looking forward to moving here to the next step. We have a wonderful video that our team has worked hard to prepare, and I invite you to share some memories and thoughts in the chat during the video. It's about 6 minutes. So John Rogers and Jackie Weber, who are the two brains behind the operation here with the Ohio Sense of Place, I've worked with our teams to put this video together. So I'm going to hand it off to John. Our screens are going to go dark as far as the panelists, but the video will come up, and then we'll get together in about 6 minutes after the video is over. So John, I will hand it off to you.
An Ohio University education is more than a class schedule or a sum of credit hours. It's a lived experience that connects countless alumni across generations. From laughing over dinner in the dining halls to playing games in the dorm lobby and staying up late with friends from down the hall, for most, Ohio University's residential experience fosters unforgettable memories of living and learning on this iconic campus. Residing closely with other students leads to close relationships, and the residence halls on East, West, and South Greens are the shared homes which help form these unbreakable bonds. As we explore these greens' origins and development, reflect on how the places you lived on campus shaped your own Ohio University experience. East Green, with its mature trees towering over a network of distinctive resident halls, delivers a classic, yet uniquely Ohio University experience to the students who call it home. However, Ohio's oldest residential green got its start under much different conditions. In 1944, following World War II, the GI Bill covered the cost of education for the returning veterans. Ohio saw a dramatic influx of students on campus that led to a shortage of instructors, classroom space, and housing. In response, the university built temporary housing using military surplus barracks on 12 acres east of College Green, while permanent buildings could be constructed. The area was dubbed Hog Island due to the poor drainage that caused exceptionally muddy conditions. In 1948, Bryan Hall was built atop a large set of stairs overlooking what would become East Green. Soon after, construction began on Johnson Hall, and by 1958, the other dormitories were completed, including Perkins, Biddle, Bush, Shively, Tiffin, Gammertsfelter, Jefferson, Reed, Washington, Lincoln, and Voigt Halls. Before long, East Green transformed from its muddy beginnings to become the stately residential community we recognize today. Its green spaces, trees, and halls fostering the emotional and intellectual growth of countless students. As the eastern expansion of the 1950s ended, the early 1960s brought the development of a residential West Green. The first dormitory of the West Green project was Grosvenor Hall in 1962. The construction of Sargent and James Hall soon followed in 1963. Trudley, Wilson, Boyd, Bromley, and Ryers were completed after 1964. These buildings were built with parking garages as the ground floor, designed to elevate and protect the new halls from the annual flooding of the Hocking River. After particularly severe floods in 1964 and 1968, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers embarked on the major project to move the river to its current path south of campus. This mitigated much of the flood threat to the university and the city of Athens. Do you have a story from the historic 1960s floods? As the university evolved, so did the use of several West Green buildings. Starting in 1976, Irvine, Grosvenor, and Parks Halls were repurposed as classrooms for what is now the Heritage College of Osteopathic Medicine. In addition, Crook Hall was converted into the Stocker Engineering Center in 1985 to house engineering classrooms and labs. More recently, Ohio dedicated Bicentennial Park in 2004. This earthwork installation, titled Input, was created by celebrated artist Maya Lin, who is best known for designing the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. Lin, the daughter of a former Ohio professor and dean, designed this piece in celebration of Ohio University's bicentennial. The last of the greens to be established, South Green had its start in 1967 with Crawford, Brown, McKinnon, and Pickering, known collectively as the Front Four. The residence halls behind the Front Four opened in 1971 and earned the monikers Back South, New South, and the Back Nine. It was at this time the Ohio University Board of Trustees began requiring students to live on campus for 2 years to foster closer connections and higher graduation rates. Between 2016 and 2017, 6 of the Back South residence halls, which had become ineffective to maintain, were demolished as part of the university's efforts to reduce deferred maintenance costs and create new spaces for the continued evolution of South Green. Recent improvements started in 2007 with the construction of Adams Hall. New South was reborn in 2015 with the construction of new suite-style residence halls across from Ping Center, Carr, Luke's, Seoul, and Tanaka halls. From the annual Spring Music Festival held on South Green's intramural fields in the late 70s and 80s, to the daily enjoyment today students find using the outdoor recreational areas near the Front Four, South Green has been a hub of socialization and connection for the entire campus for decades. What memories did you make on South Green? Each of Ohio University's residential greens has witnessed generations of students build their home away from home. East, West, and South Green. Together, they represent the distinctive residential experience known by countless Bobcats, and they stand ready to welcome their next residents who will live, learn, and grow in this singular place. Ohio University.
Well, thank you, John, for playing that. I hope everybody really enjoyed that video. I always enjoy these videos. I've been at the university about 2.5 years. As I mentioned earlier, my daughter Maggie's a junior, and we're just starting to. After 2.5 years, you really start like you feel like you're getting to know the campus and the community. But seeing these videos and hearing stories about the floods and how people are looking in the chat and how people are connected to specific dorms, it's amazing to see. I've counted, and Jackie Weber might verify, I count individuals from 13 different states. So thank you so much for joining us, and many cities throughout Ohio as well. Actually 14 states, because I can't forget Ohio, but incredible turnout. So thank you so much. And thanks for sharing some different memories and experiences there. It's great to see. We have a mix of Alumni Association and Foundation board members on the line with us, as well as some new names and faces. So really grateful for everybody's turnout today. So we will get going into the next step of the session. So Jackie, what are some of the things that when you saw this video kind of reminded you of your time here? What are some of your memories here at Ohio University?
Yeah, well, thank you, Nico, just to you and John and Jackie for putting this together. I know it's a major pivot in planning homecoming. And of course, I want to say hello to my fellow OU Foundation board members, Bill and Dennis, who I believe are on the call. So it's sad we can't all be together, but I love that we're here virtually. And, as Rita Rudner, the comedian, once said, she was speaking at MEMOD during a mom's weekend, and she said, well, I asked my travel agent the best way to get to Athens, Ohio. And she said parachute. And this is exactly how I felt coming from Toledo, Ohio, fresh out of Toledo Central Catholic, first kid to go to college in my family. And, if you know the state, which many of you do, you have to literally crisscross the state. There is no easy way to get to Athens from Toledo. So I arrived at McKinnon Hall, and, I probably had a million black garbage bags with my stuff. And I have no recollection how I picked McKinnon, but I became a Front Four girl and made some of the best friends that still lifelong friends, which I thank them every day. But, I was in 416, so we were on the 4th floor, a limited elevator service, and I'm saying that in quotes. And, there was no freshman 15 living on the 4th floor of McKinnon at the bottom of Jeff Hill. So that was a good thing. But 416 McKinnon, really started my journey. Thank God my roommate was my high school best friend, Lisa Zazda. And, together we just navigated our new surroundings. And I will tell you, we were on our best behavior in 416 because we lived right across from the RA. So, but one of my favorite memories is I was thinking back about 416 McKinnon. Lisa and I both grew up in Toledo, as I mentioned, huge Tigers fans, huge Kirk Gibson fans. And the game one of the 1988 World Series, Kirk had been traded to the Dodgers and hit that iconic home run. And the box you see my face on is probably bigger than our TV was in our room. And I just remember that now, and it's just such a great memory. But 416 McKinnon grew a legacy of its own. Little did I know. I'm proud to be a Sigma Kappa, and hello to my sisters who are on this call, because I threatened you if you didn't join, so I appreciate that. But during the rush of my junior year, I was rushing an eager candidate, Laura Seiko, and I said, "Okay, so where do you live?" She said, 416 McKinnon. That's all she wrote. She certainly joined Sigma Kappa. She became my little sister and friend for life. So I'm a huge advocate for South Green, and just cherish all those memories.
Awesome, Jackie. Thank you so much for sharing that. Really appreciate it. Matt, we'll hand it off to you. Tell us a little bit about your experiences.
Yeah, so, coming from Columbus, there's that university that everyone expects you to go to when you graduate high school, and I could not have been any less excited to go there. I just had to get out of Columbus, and I was looking at great journalism schools, and I made it a point to tell myself, get out of Ohio, go experience something. So OU is the last school I visited out of the 9 or so I visited. And I remember I came the fall of my senior year of high school. And so it's about this time. And we're walking down Morton Hill, turn left right there on East Green Drive, down that iconic road where you see the trees lining on both sides, Gambert's over here, all that's there. And I remember looking at my dad 20 minutes into the tour, and I said, dang it, I'm going to go here. I just knew it. It was too pretty. Everyone was happy. It just looked beautiful. And I hadn't even seen scripts yet, and I was already sold. And I could not have been happier when I got my residence hall placement, and it said Reed Hall on East Green, because I knew I wanted to be on East Green. And even happier that it was Reed Hall, because that meant I got a sink in my room, which a lot of my friends I found out didn't have sinks in their room. So talk about brushing your teeth in your room and not having to walk down the hall, bonus. And, it's always fun hearing people's experiences with their random roommate. Mine was okay. We never had anything in common. We never talked, but we had never had an argument either. I don't know where he is to this day, but I'm happy for him. But down the hall, I still have 2 friends that I met that first day that I was there that are still some of my best friends. They both ended up rooming with me sophomore year when I lived in Bromley Hall. And, it's funny, Jackie, you mentioned the Kirk Gibson moment. The 2 moments that really stick out for me when both involve sports as well. The first one it was the first time the Red Sox won the World Series. And it's funny, I hate the Red Sox now, but at the time they were the lovable losers. So they won the World Series. The whole residence hall's clapping, high fives. Yeah, go Red Sox. I mean, I'm an Indians fan. I despise them now. And the second one was when Leon Williams, who was a basketball player on the basketball team, and they won the MAC tournament my freshman year, and we did the NCAA tournament. And the way they won was literally in the last 10 or so seconds in the MAC championship. And the same thing, the whole residence hall goes nuts. It was the end of finals week 2, so we're all getting a little stir crazy. So it's just those memories of, you think you walk into a room that's as big as your bedroom at home, and you're freaking out thinking, I have to live with someone else in this closet. But you find yourself with a bigger family inside your residence hall, your whole green, and then it just grows from there. And I just love running across Bobcats here in Columbus all the time. And that's always one of the first questions I ask is, where'd you live? Because you just want to get that connection. West Screeners tend to like West Screeners, East Screeners like East Screeners. And you tend to gravitate to where you started your freshman year. And For me, it's East Green for life, always will be. It's just the most beautiful green you're going to find anywhere on that campus and anywhere in the world, I promise.
Awesome, Matt. Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing those stories. Pete, I will hand it off to you. If you could, maybe talk a little bit about how residential life has changed here over the last 10 or so years, and maybe a little bit about what students expect of their housing these days, and also maybe talk a little bit about how what does research show about the residential experience for students when they come to college.
I'll try to fit that all in a couple minutes. That's a lofty goal, but I appreciate it, Nico. I'm up for the challenge. We've been doing a lot for the last several years. I was fortunate to arrive in 2012, right on the heels of Board of Trustees approval to move forward with Phase 1 design. And from the get-go, I would say the majority of my time was spent. We talked a lot in student affairs about learning outside the classroom. My learning was just getting this project designed, up and going, which is our Phase 1 project was Carr, Seoul, Lutz, Tanaka, and our Living Learning Center in the middle of those facilities. And it's been transformational in terms of how South Green intersects. We've taken some buildings offline in the back south, which for alums, it's always a mixed bag. We have saved bricks, so if anybody is looking for brick for some of the buildings that we've taken down, we're going to put those back up and have those available for purchase. But it is amazing hearing Matt talk about being in sometimes with a closet room. Like one of the first rules I came on the campus was, I said, if I can do this and I can touch the walls, the room is too small. I'm a small stature guy. Like my arms don't have that kind of wingspan. So we needed to design buildings bigger. So that's the first thing I'd say in terms of how are we looking at buildings differently. I think it was figuring out like what does today's student need. Suite style was Bromley only. We've added a lot of inventory with suites. Adams came on, I believe in late 2000s. And we added another 912 beds of suite style, which was really needed. In terms of research, there's been a lot of research on the residence halls and the work that we do. We certainly look at it on local campus, but we look at it nationally as well. One of the best studies that I'm aware of, Lauren Schuh did a study after 2010. And I think they saw almost a 3% retention difference when you control from all their factors in terms of students staying on campus. And I think it's back to this question of, or the statement of the state of the sense of place and how important sense of place is as a way of grounding students and making them feel welcome. Part of our mission statement, which is the last part of it, we always say is we make Ohio home. And our staff really works tirelessly to make that possible. So these aren't just buildings, it's a lot of the staff and the work that goes on in that. And that's been like that for decades at Ohio University. I was drawn to Ohio University. I heard Jack talk about Cincinnati. I worked at Northern Kentucky University for a number of years, had a great experience there, but was drawn to this place because of the alumni stories and how powerful and passionate they were and how much they, I'll never forget this alumni that told me this story. She was a former staff member of mine, and she said, Pete, I would go to Ohio University, and here's why. She said, if I could find a job there that would pay for the needs of my family, I would go there, and I would never, ever leave Athens, Ohio. And I thought, wow, I'm an alum for 2 other campuses, and those campuses are lovely. I won't name them because I don't want to be anyone reaching out and telling them that I'm going to say this, but I would not say that about those campuses. I had a great experience, but there is something very special about Athens, Ohio, and Ohio University. So I'm very proud to be the leader of this housing program. And it's a great place to be, and I'm so happy that y'all are here tonight.
Thanks, Pete, and thanks for that insight, and appreciate you joining us today. Yeah, I would say, even as someone who had never been to Ohio University until I first was looking at the position here, there's just something about the campus and the community that you're immediately drawn to, and I when people talk about how they walked on campus for the first time, Matt, what you were saying, and just fell in love with it, like you can see that it's really even as an adult with college age children, you just are drawn to it. So really a special place. So thanks for sharing that, Pete. So Sydney, we'll close this part with you. You're obviously the closest person to connected to the residence halls here, being a student, and do you mind sharing with us what your experience has been like? And then also your mom, who I met at an event down in Florida a couple of years ago, was also an alum, and maybe has she shared any of experiences of her time on campus?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with my mom because I guess it kind of goes chronologically. So my first time I visited Athens and OU was when I was 7. and we went to Bush Hall, which is where she lived. She was in a sorority, so she only lived on 1 year for in the res halls, but she was in Bush, and ironically some of my really good friends were also in Bush Hall, so that was just cool to like get to see it compared to the pictures that I've seen. But she was in Bush, and then when I came back and visited my senior year of high school, I actually found out that I got into OU when we were standing in front of Bush Hall, which was just a really special moment for us because I ended up living in Johnson Hall, which is right across the way. It's right next to Reed. It used to be the Johnson Reed complex. And so that's just like East Green, same for me, Matt. It's a very special place. It's my mom and I's place now. And it just always represents home for me. It was super special to get to share that moment right in front of where she spent her first year at OU. I actually, in my dorm room, would keep like, I had some old pictures from her time at OU that I had like in a little Polaroid thing, and I hung them up just to kind of keep that between us, because I do kind of think of my OU experience as a shared thing. It's something special for my mom and I, because I don't know, just like something with OU, it's the Bobcat family. It's hard for me to not think of it as this continual thing. So it's super special for me. But as I said, I lived in Johnson Hall, and a funny story is when I was moving in, my mom walked down the hall and she saw this girl who at the time she didn't have a roommate. She ended up getting one, but she was like, that girl down the hall seems nice. You should get to know her. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. That girl is my roommate now and will be my roommate for next year. She's my best friend here. Her name's Erica, and she's here right now. So thank you for joining, Erica. But it was just so funny. She became my best friend. Two of my other best friends now live in my same apartment building. So I basically just brought East Green and Johnson Hall to my apartment complex, which is pretty funny. I do think when you're there, you kind of never leave it. And it just has stayed with me. It's truly become my family. I also saw somebody mention Springfest, and I do want to mention that with my mom. She kind of told me about Springfest when she was here. She's actually in a video. She might get mad at me mentioning that, but there's a video of her. They did a documentary, and she was one of the people. She's in it for about 15 seconds. And it's my favorite thing that exists on the internet. Yeah, I don't know. It's really cool to just have this experience it's a personal one, but also a shared one. It's really become part of just my identity, really. OU's, I bleed green and white. My puppy is with me, and she's like my honorary third Bobcat in the family. I need to get her some OU merch, but she's so small. I'm trying to find something that fits her. But yeah, I mean, everything about OU East Green, it's so cliche, but it sounds like it's like in my blood, really. I just love it. It's everything to me. So yeah, it's really shaped everything about me, I would say.
Great. Thank you, Sydney. Thanks for that. I'm sure your mom wouldn't mind you telling the stories about her on campus, but grateful for your participation in sharing that, especially as a student today, and especially in this time too. So we hope you continue to have success here at OU, and hopefully things get back to normal soon. So as Jackie just mentioned, Jackie Weber just mentioned in the chat, if anybody has any questions or comments, please feel free to post them in there, and we'll try to get them answered here at some time. Great conversations going back and forth between our alums. So thank you for your participation there. John Rogers is going to post the link for all the homecoming activities that are happening. So there's lots of things going on the rest of the week here virtually. Make sure you click on that link and look at the different activities from there's an esports match between alums and students tomorrow night. I know Jackie Reau will be are you participating in that, Jackie, or just watching?
I'm just a spectator.
You're just a spectator. Okay. Jackie's a big esports fan. So, and there's a DJ after party on Friday and some family friendly events that are happening. So please take a look. Our team worked really hard to try to make some activities here during the week where we can all come together. So John will post that in there. Oh, he just did. Thank you, John. So with that, I'm pleased to introduce the 21st president of Ohio University, Dr. Duane Nellis. Dr. Nellis has been here 3.5 years since June of 17. Previously was the president at both Texas Tech University and the University of Idaho. Dr. Nellis is obviously very familiar to many of you. He tends to attend all our activities and events here with alums, and I have the privilege of, in normal times, traveling with him all over the country to see our alums and friends, and very grateful that he's taken a few moments to spend with us tonight. So I will hand it off to you, Dr. Nellis.
Well, thank you, Nico, and thanks to you and your staff for putting together this virtual homecoming experience, not only tonight, but also throughout the week. There's so many ways in which our alumni can engage virtually with their friends and bring back the wonderful memories of what it means to be a Bobcat. And so again, thanks to you and your staff for your leadership. And also I'm grateful to Matt, Jackie, Pete, and Sydney. I really enjoyed hearing your specific comments about your experiences at Ohio University on the different greens, and just brings back even in the limited time I've been here, I've had the opportunity to walk around the different greens and to interact with people. I did not go to school here, unfortunately, but I have certainly had the opportunity to even help students move into their residence hall rooms on the East Green, for example, and participated very proudfully in the Interfaith Peace March each year, and that ends up on East Green. So there are a lot of really good memories, and just the beauty is something beyond words. Really, when I saw the video at the beginning here, it's just an amazing campus, and something I'm extremely proud to be associated with and honored to be part of. You know, homecoming is really a unique time it really is the perfect time to reflect back for all of us on our university's history, the development of residential life, how that was staged over time, and what this history of our university and residence halls have meant to each of you personally, the types of experiences you've had, how it's shaped you, but also your experience, of course, at our university, and how that continues to impact your life virtually every day. And so again, it's a unique time to reflect back on our special place called Ohio University, which I'm so proud of. This is truly an unprecedented time in our university's history and our country's history. Unfortunately, we have only been able to bring back a limited number of our students. We have about 30% of our students now on campus. I think there's much more than that in Athens, people that are living in housing off campus and participating through online activities with our university as well. But this COVID virus, we will beat it, and we will come out stronger. And but I do think we'll look differently as an institution, as all of higher education will, as we look to the future. But I appreciate, again, the opportunity to be with you today. I appreciate your continued support during these extraordinary times. And I really feel the strength of the Bobcat family every day, and I'm honored to continue to serve as the 21st president of Ohio University. So thank you for the opportunity to make a few comments today. Nico, thank you very much.
No, thank you, Dr. Nellis. Thanks for taking the time and joining us this evening. So I don't see any questions in the chat. So please feel free to keep posting there. It's great seeing these stories about everyone's experiences. And Pete, Jackie, Matt, Sydney, thank you again. Dr. Nellis, thank you for joining us tonight. Jackie Weber, John Rogers, as usual, thanks for putting on a seamless event. It's not easy in these circumstances, and you guys continue to put these wonderful activities together. Thank you, everyone, our more than 60 participants that joined us, like I said, from over 14 states. Great to see, as I mentioned, some familiar names, as well as some new names and faces. We hope you'll continue to stay engaged with us. Couple mentions, Larry Starr, Ron Toplinsky, former OAA board member, Cynthia Calhoun, Dennis Minicello, current foundation board members. I know I probably shouldn't start naming people because I'll probably miss them, but really great to see all these individuals joining us today. Please log on to ohio.edu homecoming and check out the other activities that are happening this week. And we hope that we can get together in Athens sometime soon. Until then, please be smart, be safe, take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, and be safe. And we'll see you all soon. Have a great night.